Hard/difficult games. There's just something about them that makes them enjoyable in the long run. Maybe it's a sense of progression that you are learning what the game is trying to teach you, and you see and feel that you are in fact getting better and better, prior to miserably failing, of course. Or the rush and relief of finishing a task that minutes, hours, or even days ago seemed harder than anything, or even impossible, but somehow you've managed. Or maybe you are just a masochist. The meds don't kill the same as before, do they? Grow up! Honestly, I couldn't care less. I'm not your fucking therapist, you big baby. So grow a pair and let me tell you about a game called GTFO. And as stated before, if you enjoy an experience comparable to dragging your sack on broken glass and nails while being on fire, then your place might be at a mental rehabilitation facility. But before you go there, or the police finally catch you, you might wanna give this game a try. When you start a mission, you are thrown into this big-ass abandoned facility. And I personally couldn't really make out what I was supposed to do. And then I found a terminal and did some real hacker shit and located the actual objective. And then there were these so-called sleepers. As you can see, because surely they can't, they ain't got no bloody eyes. They are the unique enemies this game introduces and are mostly treated by sound, light, or just by fucking bumping into you, and that is when you get into some real stealth. First of all, your melee weapons. When using them, you can quietly kill enemies with a single charge shot to the weak point, which is usually the head, although I have to mention a very important mechanic in this game, that is the weak point system. Basically, you have your standard headshot. However, if you hit them in the back of the head, you can deal even more damage, and this is not only applied to melee weapons, as firearms work the same way. Coming back to those or I can't fucking do this. They come in all shapes and sizes. Most of them are ugly though. To be honest, they all look horrific. You got your standard enemies, nothing special. A shooty variation, a big variation of the normal one, a big variation of the shooter, an even weirder and even bigger variation of the shooter, a tentacle monster aka Scout, the Blood Mother, and her hellish army of weirdly sexy babies. Why are you looking at me like that? On later levels, these normal enemies get a kind of an upgrade, which turns them into the Charger variation, which actually Naruto runs, which is kinda cringe, but unlike the normal people, they have so much fat that it turned into an armor, and basically they have double the health, and they don't have a weak spot in front of the head because of the spiky protective thingy. I don't fucking. These enemies are tough, and basically any encounter, if not dealt with properly, can be your last one because of it. Sleepers can easily swarm and overwhelm you, so if you have to go guns blazing, it is better to quietly clear some of them out, so it's a little bit easier on you when you wake them all up. Now, about the weapons. Most of them suck. Majority of them are just really bad and you shouldn't bother. Mainly stick to those for the special ones and these for the main. You also got the utility tools. First and foremost, probably my favorite one, the bioscanner. It is a necessary piece of equipment for any self-respecting team. It is a key to traversing through these dark rooms, since most of the time you can't use a flashlight. It has 20 meters or so of range, allowing you to detect enemies up ahead, so you don't just bump into them in the endless void that some of these rooms are. It also shows moving enemies as these moving red dots that either indicate a scout or an alerted enemy. And about those aggravated lads, the bioscanner has an ability of pinning those enemies, which considering the pitch black environment gives a lot of advantage in aiming for you and your team. We also have a glorified concrete mixer that can seal off doors, making them more durable, as well as being able to make puddles on the ground that when in contact with the snoozers solidifies them. There is also the Mine Deployer, a defensive tool capable of making quick work of the charging enemies. Using it, there is an easy way to clear out a whole area. Basically, you deploy a mine beside the door, leading into the specific room. You peek out, shoot a little to anger them, and quickly back out and close the door behind you. And so, they will all swarm the door at the same time, and when they break through it, the mine should blow most of them up. You also have 3 kinds of turrets, which again, 2 of them overshadow the third one. The burst turret, it basically acts as another gun to mow down the crazies, but does so in bursts. and the auto turret, which constantly fires, staggering enemies, making them easy targets. Talking even more about the equipment, you are awfully and disgustingly under-equipped. You don't even have max ammo when you start. It's mostly 50%-ish, which just shows how little they care. So for most of the time, you have to rely on these shitty loot boxes that can sometimes give you anything that you actually might need, like ammo, health, or even tool refills. But it's really just a glow-stick and long-range flashlight feast for those scientists before you that apparently enjoyed munching on those, because I can't think for any other use for them. And when the game for once gives you any amounts of considerably good loot, it doesn't mean anything nice. If anything, it means that something horrible is up ahead. And they were just like, ah, fine, I guess you can have above 20% health for a level 6 alarm door. The so-called warden really doesn't care if you made it out alive or not. Oh, about that, the Warden. He's this omnipotent entity that is responsible for throwing you into there with all of them. Honestly, I adore this game's lore and how it builds its atmosphere just when you open the game. Its opening has so much charisma and style, you are literally pressing inject to enter the game's main menu. It never detaches you from the experience, it still feels like you are just in this pod thing and you just choose which hellhole to go to today, focusing on the levels and gameplay they offer. This game's rotation of levels is dissected into round-downs. Basically, a new round-down means entirely new levels, enemies, and tasks to complete. Currently, we are on round-down 6.0, and it was released with the games coming out of early access in December of 2021. There are currently 13 levels available, and they are separated into categories A, B, C, D, and the extension ones from the recent update. A1, B1, C1 and D1 are the main levels of the game, and the rest is considered extra content. All of these levels are unique and they have their own quirks. Some will have poisonous gas spewing everywhere, so you will be required to either take infection from it or use fog repellers and turbines to clear an area out of it. Others will have you defend yourselves from an endless horde of enemies while completing tasks in between waves, and even being on the run for the entirety of the mission, giving you no breathing room as well as being on a time limit. Although these tasks completely differentiate from each other, the basic gameplay loop of this game stays the same. You are thrown into the mission, given a task, and you have to make your way to the said task by clearing all the rooms leading up to it, while sometimes encountering special security alarm doors, which as the name implies, makes a lot of sound, which of course attracts the sound-sensitive monsters, so you have to multi-manage by simultaneously completing scan sequences, as well as defending yourself from the hordes. And when you finish said task, you have to get to the escape zone, complete a scan to launch for its own good, and sometimes even still defend yourself. And BAM! You have now officially completed a mission. Here, have a golden star. Except no, because to even get through these missions, you have to firstly die and fail countless times just to know what you are even supposed to do, and while at it, you constantly change your loadout to make it more compatible with the specific mission requirements so it's a little more manageable. What it boils down to is that losing is part of the game, and you cannot experience it fully without failing. It is cruel, but I somehow like it. It really is a relief after completing a mission in this game. It is oftenly buggy, messy, and unfair towards the player. Oh, I am just trash. But with all these odds stacked against you, achieving it feels so more sweet, and I love it for that. GTFO is really fun, but unfortunately not for everyone. If you want a challenging experience to take on with your friends while testing your cooperation skills and completely demolishing them to the ground, check it out, it can definitely deliver.